Before we dive into today's episode, I want to provide a quick reminder that the content discussed is intended for informational purposes only. The topics we'll be covering include disordered eating, body image, and emotional eating, are not meant to treat, diagnose, or replace professional medical advice. If you are struggling with any of these issues, we encourage you to seek support from a licensed therapist, counselor, or a healthcare provider. Additionally, please be aware that some of the topics in today's episode may be triggering for some listeners. If you feel that the conversation could be difficult to engage with, we recommend taking care of yourself and reaching out for support. With that in mind, let's get started. Welcome to Miles from Review, the podcast powered by KatFit Strength, where busy women like you find practical solutions to fuel your fitness journey with authenticity and resilience. I'm Kat, your host, a mom of 2 active boys, a business owner, and an ultramarathon runner, and a strength trainer in her 40s. With nearly 2 decades of experience, I'm here to help you cut through the noise of fads, hacks, and quick fixes. This is a space where we celebrate womanhood and motherhood, all while building strength and resilience and reconnecting with you from a place of self-compassion and worthiness. Whether you're lacing up your running shoes to go out for a run, driving your kids to practice, or squeezing in a moment for yourself, I'm right here in the trenches with you. Let's dive in. Welcome to Miles from Her View. I'm here with Jess, and Jess is a licensed mental health counselor and a certified personal trainer, offering both services inside her business, Revolution Health. With over 9 years of experience, she supports chronic dieters in finding peace with food, fitness, and their bodies. Her specialties in therapy include binge eating, emotional eating, and body image. For personal training, she specializes in helping those with mental health challenges feel strong and confident physically through strength training and intuitive movement. She practices from a non-diet, weight-inclusive, and health at every size approach. As someone who recovered from disordered eating and overexercise and hated her body for years, tongue twister there, she gets it. Today, she loves lifting weights almost as much as she loves eating donuts, and I love eating donuts too. So welcome. I'm so excited to have you here and dive into these topics. So
Thank you for having me, Kat.
absolutely. First, what is your favorite donut?
Oh, it's got to be chocolate.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, the chocolate gate glaze with the chocolate frosting. I'm all about that.
I love it. Yeah. I'm all about the chocolate, but there's something about like a Boston cream donut for me. It's like the cream,
I mean,
the chocolate on top. So
that one's delicious too. I will never turn down a Boston cream.
Yeah.
I already love this conversation.
It's all about donuts today. We're just talking about donuts. But awesome. But how did you get to where you are? Because I love finding people or hearing people's stories to where they got to where they are and how,
Yeah.
ties into how they develop their business. Let's dive in there.
Yeah, and I'll try to keep it as like concise as possible, and so we're not spending a whole hour on it, but I probably could. So I got here because I struggled for most of my life with food and overexercise and my body image. And I think looking back on it at the time, I didn't even realize it. Like, I think that's how much of a hold that diet culture can have on us, is that I thought that everything I was doing in the obsession with skinniness that I had was normal. And my struggles go like way back. I think they probably started in like the 8th grade. I struggled probably it was probably at my worst in high school. And then when I got to college, like it just looked different, right? But like the negative thoughts about my body were still on my mind all the time. But you looked at me and you were like, everyone commented on how healthy I was, right? You looked at me physically, like I had the body that society deems as like perfect for women, right? I was thin, I was toned. Everyone thought that I ate healthy, I ate chicken and salad all the time. But my mental health was a hot mess. I had injuries like crazy. Like I think like I tore a hamstring, I broke my arm, like I broke several other smaller bones. Like I had just burnt myself like into the ground. Like, and it, things really shifted for me when I decided that I wanted to have a family and I couldn't get pregnant. And I would say that's when I really started healing and taking a hard look at what I was doing that I thought was healthy, but really wasn't. I was, you know, it was undiagnosed infertility. That's how they labeled me. So there was nothing that they could find that was wrong with me. But looking back, like I really wasn't. I wasn't healthy and my body couldn't carry a baby. And I think it was just trying to tell me that. So then I have 2 kids now. I spent years working as a personal trainer in the weight loss industry. Really, then realizing that I was helping women with this, like, do the same things to themselves to try to lose weight that had hurt me so badly. And once I realized like that, that was when I transitioned into the health at every size anti-diet space and started my therapy practice where I am now. And I still do offer personal training, but in a much different way because I've completely left the weight loss industry and really now focus on helping women heal and find peace because I know what it's like to now be on the other side.
Yeah, this is so important. One of the things that appealed to me to have you on is your philosophy of like you're a personal trainer, you're also a therapist. If anyone has known me and followed my business too, I'm anti-diet. I'm going to bash on the fitness industry because I do it all the time.
Oh,
um,
same.
so there's so the messaging there is so toxic. And I always say I was the only job I was fired from in my life is the current profession I'm in now is personal training because I refused to go along with this messaging that was truly hurtful to individuals, predominantly females, in the essence of shrink your body at all costs, which
Mm-hmm.
was not healthy, but deemed in this pretty little package as being healthy. And to your point and what you said earlier was in your with your story of people saw you and you were commenting on how healthy you looked, but you were not healthy. And I think, that is something that is so important that someone can look healthy, but they're not healthy. And that's,
Yep.
we put thinness and, at such a high on a pedestal as the epitome of health and fitness. And that is not the case at all. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's so much, I see it too, where individuals, we both work with women, realize that they've had a disordered eating cycle their whole life, which is stressful. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, especially from like a therapist.
Yeah, yeah, sure. You can't take the therapist out of the trainer, you can't take the trainer out of the therapist. So it's
Yeah.
I'm a whole package deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so normalized. And with me, like so again, my struggle started like in high school, but like I went to an all girls high school,
Okay.
right? So that was part of it was like I was around girls who were throwing out their lunch every day. So I did too, right? I was around girls who would just go to Starbucks on free period and get a coffee, and that's all that we had for the entire day. It was like this challenge that like everyone was in it together. And if you didn't do it, you didn't fit in. So I spent most of those years trying to fit in. That's really what it was. Like I wasn't like everyone's like, well, were you hiding it? Like, no, I just thought it was normal. And then same thing in college, like I would wake up, I'd go swimming with my roommate at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd go back to the gym in between classes. And then at night, I would go rock climbing or I had club tennis practice. And everyone would be like, oh my gosh, you're back at the gym again. Good for you. Like, oh, I saw you here yesterday. You're back. Good for you. When I broke my arm, I was literally on an elliptical with my arm in a sling, and everyone's like, good for you, like I could, like I couldn't do that, right? It was all like praised. Not only was it seen as normal, but it was praised. And I don't think that, and I think that's why we don't recognize how deeply we're struggling is because, you know, we are just surrounded by diet culture all the time, and this emphasis on weight loss all the time, and that if you lose the weight, you'll be happy, right? Your whole life is going to get better if you can just control your food and find discipline to exercise, be disciplined to exercise. We're not factoring our mental health,
Right. Right.
because that's something that you can't look at someone and see.
Are you curious about KatFit Strength? Well, KatFit Strength is designed to help you achieve your fitness goals with confidence and clarity. Whether you're a busy mom juggling multiple responsibilities, a woman navigating unique challenges of prenatal, postpartum, or perimenopause, or an athlete looking to enhance your performance, KatFit Strength has you covered. Let's get down to it. KatFit Strength offers personalized programs tailored to your unique needs, goals, and ensuring you get the most out of every workout. Expert guidance provided for you with the understanding of the importance of balancing strength training, cardio, and mobility. Flexible workouts designed to fit into your busy schedule, whether you're at home or at the gym or on the go. So why choose KatFit Strength? I believe in creating sustainable fitness habits that adapt to your lifestyle. I focus on helping you lift effectively, move better, and feel stronger every day. Plus, emphasis is on realistic goal setting, celebrating every win, and helping you stay motivated and inspired. Exactly. And to your point too, I hear a lot is putting their happiness in their future, like a number on the scale
Mm,
or a size.
yeah.
And I hear that a lot with my clients. And one of the things I ask them is, well, what if you do all the things and nothing changes? Because that can be a
Hmm.
reality too. And like, it's not that strength training is bad and it was unproductive if you don't see these changes. No, there's a lot of factors that go into play. I cringe, and maybe you share this too. I cringe certain times of the year because these programs are sold to, well, in 30 days or like 6 weeks, you will have this transformation, and it's put on and it's steeped in this diet culture of losing weight, and all your problems will go away if you follow this
Hmm.
program. And oftentimes they are these, I call them white knuckling. It's, eat this, don't eat that. There's vilified food. There's like intense routines, and it exacerbates the issue at hand of really finding sit down to any food. We'll use donuts. like
Yeah.
sit down to a donut and enjoy a donut. Like there's nothing wrong with having a donut. There's nothing wrong with not seeing a vegetable. And one thing I do, especially with my clients who are newly in that postpartum stage or going through a very intense, like life is at a level 10. I'm like, if you don't see a vegetable on your plate this whole week because you're just surviving, that's okay. Like
Oh,
you're
I love that.
surviving.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I agree so much, and I think the biggest thing that keeps people stuck is that all or nothing thinking and this belief that we have to follow all of these external rules.
yes. Yes.
Um, I tell my clients all the time, like, we got to get rid of that should. That word should is only going to get you into
Oh,
trouble.
it so is. I would say I'm like I said this to my kid and I said it so fast. My older son is 13. And I was like, would you stop shooting yourself? He's like, Mom, why'd you swear at me? I said, and I had to stop and think, I'm like, did I swear? He's like, did you say the like S word? I was like, should. I'm like, that's what I said. And I said, well, it's pretty much like a bad word. Stop shooting yourself. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
like literally like, the the swear word, like, yes, like that heaps on the guilt and the shame. And
Hmm.
it's, you shouldn't, there's no should or anything. It's just, I hate to be like, it is what it is. But, it, like you said, it keeps you in that perfection seeking model, and something that is screamed to the heavens, especially in the fitness. And I'm going to say in the nutrition, like in that whole wellness, is if you're not doing it all, then, well, you're going to fail. That is
Yeah.
like, we know it. That is not the case. That is so not the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to hear a little bit more insight. And, definitely I'm a big proponent of, if you want to use yourself as an example, I always tend to use myself because I don't always like to use client examples. How could someone tell, like, if they're caught in that dieting cycle that, maybe they're like, I don't know, do I, and again, and I said it before the intro, is this is not here. We're not here to diagnose. We're here to be informative and understand, to provide insight. But like, if someone is like, I don't know, could I have disordered eating? This sounds like,
Mhm.
sharing your story sounds similar to me. This is something that I've struggled.
Yeah. So I always tell clients, I don't necessarily care what you're eating and what you're doing for exercise. I care how you're thinking about it.
Mm, I love that.
So we I if you're questioning, right, if what you're going through is normal and if what you're experiencing is disordered or something, like, oh, I think you're gonna be able to tell, like, deep down in your gut, right? I think you're gonna know that. But I want you to pay attention to, like, your thoughts about food and exercise. And if
Mm,
they're coming from a place of love and self-care, that's very different than them coming from a place of shame and judgment. I think that's the key, right? So, are you making food choices because you think you should, right? Is this coming from some external place that someone told you this is how you should eat this way? Again, are there feelings of, if I don't eat that or I do eat that, I feel really bad about myself. I feel really guilty. Same thing with on the fitness side. If I don't do this workout, how does that make you feel about yourself, right? Are we feeling that we're lazy, that we're worthless, that we're never going to be able to do this, right? If that's how you're thinking about it, then that signals to me that you're really struggling.
yeah.
Um, does that I think I answered your
Yeah, no,
question.
that it does 100%. Yeah, and I
Okay.
just want to expand on it, like, and that's a different. Again, the industry, it touts like, know your macros, know your calories, have to be in a calorie deficit.
Mhm.
Where it doesn't, I'm going to say, consider the person, and you have to, like,
Yeah.
there's so much that goes behind it because we are not robots. We are not. I loathe the statement, calories in, calories out. We are
Oh my
not
gosh.
robots. We are not calculators. Like, there's so many more factors than that. And also, like, and I spoke a lot to my clients about the holiday times. Getting through the holidays, we eat to bond. We have an emotional response with eating. We're social beings, and around holidays in my family, we're very big on a lot of traditional foods. And it's like, eat the food, spend the time with the person, because the reality too is whoever made such and so dish may not be here the next holiday, and not eat in fear for that, but like, sit there and enjoy. One meal is not going to break your entire fitness goal or nutrition goal. But yeah,
Yeah. We don't have to make all of this mean so much. Like, we don't have to make eating one dessert mean so much about ourselves and about our worth. And we don't have to make one skipped workout mean so much in the
yeah,
big picture. And I think that's where the woman that I see really struggle with. Like, they are making those things mean so much more than they have to about themselves.
yeah, yeah. And I'll also say, like, to the point, like, one of the things that I ate when my kids started getting older, it started triggering me on, like, how I talk about food and
Hmm.
my workouts. It became, you know, something that I realized, I think we all have a complex relationship with our bodies and with our moving our bodies. And then when having kids, I was like, well, we should never have any of this. And I'm like, well, why shouldn't we? Like, it's teaching them to eat responsibly, of like all foods can fit into a healthy diet. All movement can fit into a movement and strength training plan. Like, all of this can fit here. It's when we start to like restrict, we have to know why. And, you know, that's where it was interesting as my older son, he's now in 8th grade, like going through and hearing the nutrition things. He's like, well, mom, fat is bad. And I'm like, well, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's decode that. Like, did you know your brain needs fat to function?
Yeah. 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 And it's so interesting because my kids are really little. So I have a 2-year-old and no, she's 3. Oh my gosh, she's 3. She turned 3 this month, and a 5-year-old. And kids are such intuitive eaters, right? To watch my kids eat, it's like, it still shocks me sometimes how intuitive they are and how easily that, just as we get older, it's taken from us. Right? And it can be the little things, like, you know, and part of my story too is I grew up with a mom who was always on a diet, right? Always, all the time. I don't like bounced from one to another, and I would do them with her. Again, thought that was normal. But, you know, we as parents can have so much influence, you know, on our kids' relationship with food by, like you said, how we're talking to them. So I'm super careful. I'm super intentional with what I say, just as you are, because I want to raise little intuitive eaters as best that I can. And I know I can't control everything, but because, you know, to bring women back to that ability to tune into their bodies, damn, it's really hard. It's really hard.
So hard. It's so hard. You're a trainer who gets it. I know other trainers and like therapists who get it, and you know, who also share the specialty that you do, therapist and trainer. And it's the stuff that we do, I would say, is so unsexy because it's not flashy.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more of your thoughts on like health at every size.
Yeah. I mean, in everything that I do, you know, whether that's eating disorder work or personal training, I practice from a health at every size approach. And I guess what that means, right? Like, so it's based on like 5 principles. So weight inclusivity, health enhancement, respectful care, eating for well-being, and life enhancing movement. And all of this supports building healthy habits as opposed to a fixation on weight, right? Or weight loss. So I like to see it as health at every size is a focus on health gain rather than weight loss. I think is a simple way to, is this like a simple way to put it. That does not mean that we are healthy at every size. Right? Like, and I think that's where you were talking about, it's misconstrued a lot, right? Because that's not what health at every size means. It does not mean that you are in a healthy body at any size. It just means that you can be healthy at any size.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that made sense.
It totally makes sense. And that's where things get so nuanced and then misconstrued. And I feel it's the same with like the non-diet approach, because like diet, what the non-diet approach is looking at understanding and decoding you. What do you like to eat? What do you not like to eat?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how we're talking about what these things actually mean, because you're right. Like that even that term, like non-diet, has become like so trendy.
Yeah.
But like, I'll be on social media and I'll see a post as someone who's like calling themselves like a non-diet dietitian or a trainer, a nutritionist or coach. And I'm like, that's not what that means. You could like what they're saying is they take an all foods fit approach to weight loss. That is not what a non-diet approach means. Just clarify that. So like when I say I'm non-diet, that means I do not focus on weight loss as a goal.
Right.
That does not mean that I am against weight loss, right? That does not mean that I think that having weight loss goals is a bad thing. Like, it just means that as we work together and we make some of these changes in regards to fitness and nutrition, I don't know what's going to happen to your body. I don't know what's going to happen to your size.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's not where our focus is, right? Where someone's taking an all foods fit approach to weight loss, the intentional goal is weight loss.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge distinction right there. And I think there is a vast majority of individuals out there, both male and female, who are looking to have a body composition change. And they're led to believe the only way to obtain that is through a diet or putting a numerical number on the amount of inches, pounds they want to lose. And that is not always the case to find health, to
Mm-hmm.
have that, you know, I hate to say ambiguous because it is very different for each person. I kind of talk with my clients. I'm like, there's kind of like a fit you want to feel in your clothes, in your body, a focus you want to have, and, an overall feeling. And it's like, that is where, we want to decode that. We want
Mm-hmm.
to, there's going to be that work in the beginning when we're integrating the workouts and getting on that, consistent, pattern and incorporating into your life. But then we also want to look at, like, there's going to be a maintenance period where where it's going to feel good and you feel like, cool, I'm going to use every Friday night's pizza night in our house. It started back
Nice.
in the doom of like 2020 because it was just, we got to Friday and we were like, I can't think, and it's frozen pizza. And like sometimes we throw veggies on it, sometimes we eat just plain frozen pizza. So, it is what it is. Like, we all look forward to it. But it's like you can sit down and be like, this is part of my meal plan. This is something that fires me up. This is something that, like, I enjoy eating, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like we get to those periods of, like, we're not always, and I hate saying gain or loss, but we're not constantly, like, no one should be in a constant, like, I have to work on myself all the time and make myself better. That's not a state
Mm-hmm.
to live in. It's,
Agreed. Love that.
yeah, it's finding that peace, that autonomy where it flows together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the weight loss industry makes us feel like we are this project that we have to fix.
Yes.
And I don't think that our health is a project. Like, I want to help women get out of that mindset. Like, you do not need to be fixed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, I full heartedly agree with that. Yeah, you're not broken. You don't need to
Hmm.
be fixed. To me, I am like, you just need to be more of you. Like,
Yeah.
I tell my clients, I'm like, I want you to take up space. I want you to feel that power. And
Mhm.
so sometimes, like, I'll talk about it when I'm like cueing them for squats or deadlift. I'm like, I want you to feel the ground underneath your feet, connect with, and I want you to press up through the body, feel that power that you can generate through your
Yes.
up, like, and I would love to hear. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, everything that you're saying, I'm overwhelmed. I need I need someone to take away this overwhelm. I really want to get out of this, like, diet cycle, this all or nothing, and I really just want to sit down to insert whatever meal. I want to have that donut and just really enjoy all of its goodness. Like, where
Hmm.
should I start? Is like, what would be
Oof.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. I know. It's so hard. And because I also think that like the word like intuitive eating is all over the place,
Yeah.
right? Because right, but it is often used as a diet, right? And we don't want that. And I to become a true intuitive eater in a non-diet way does take a lot of work. And we cannot go from following all of these diets and rules to being an intuitive eater. Like you just can't, you cannot just be like, I'm just going to stop dieting and listen to my body. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You will set yourself up for failure because you don't have the skills yet, right? So I think that's where I typically start with women who come to me with particularly binge eating and emotional eating challenges. So we need to build those skills first. And I think around eating, right? But also just around like intuition in general, right? And making sure that we know how to tune into ourselves outside of food and exercise. So we work on, building those skills, and that's going to look like noticing hunger and fullness, right? Is a big one. So go Google, right, the hunger and fullness scale and just start making notes, right? Another huge thing here is you have to approach this from a place of curiosity,
Yes.
not judgment, right? How can I just get curious about this, right? Like, I think like using the phrase like, I wonder is super powerful. Like, wow, like, I wonder why I overate that day, right? I wonder why I was really full, but I kept eating. Like, what could have been going on? What could have been going on there for me, right? Versus, oh, I can't believe I did that. I knew I didn't need that. I wasn't hungry, but I ate it anyways. Oh my goodness. Like, I gotta start over again tomorrow, right? Like, that place of curiosity versus judgment is so powerful. And then, I mean, we're personal trainers, right? We want people to fall in love with fitness and movement. So I think it's going to work the same that way too. Like, what do you love to do for movement, right? What actually brings you joy? Start trying new things and pay attention to how do they actually make me feel. And I think to do that, like again, you got to go into it as a little experiment, right? Because you're never going to find what like lights you up and makes you feel empowered if we don't put ourselves out there and try new things and kind of get ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit. And then I think a really powerful question I ask my clients a lot is like, what would you do if you weren't afraid of gaining weight or just not losing it,
Yeah.
right? What would you do if you weren't afraid? How would you eat? How would you move your body? What would you wear? And whatever those answers are, I want you to go do that.
Yeah. I think that's so powerful. And I want to highlight a few things you said there because I feel
Yeah.
like one,
I know that was a very long answer.
no, but it was so good. I'm sitting here, I'm like, yes, yes, all these things. And like, but skills, like I feel again, fitness industry, nutrition industry acts like it is a switch. You do this and it's a switch.
Yeah.
You
Oh my
have
gosh.
to build up the skills.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, there are skills
Hmm.
that you need for that. It is, you know, uh, I liken it. I mean, you're a mom, I'm a mom. Like you watch your child accumulate skills to move their body. They don't just, stand up one day and start running. It may
Hmm.
feel like that because that is such a busy time in motherhood, but like they have to build those skills. It's the same thing when you're creating this transition. You have to incorporate these skills. It's not a, you know, do this and XYZ happens. Like that's what diet culture is. It's such a restrictive, like puts you in a little tiny box. There's no, curiosity to your next thing is huge. Is having that
Yeah.
curiosity of like, why did I get here? Like, and I love, for me, it's one of the coolest things is when clients are like, they can articulate. I realized when I was standing in the pantry, this hypothetical, but like, and I was stuffing my space full of whatever that I missed lunch because it was so busy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm going to tomorrow make sure, or tonight I did this to make sure I have food tomorrow because it's another busy day. Amazing. You set yourself up for success. You didn't go down the shoulds, the like guilt, the shame. You had this explore curiosity of why these behaviors happen, because there's a reason, and it doesn't mean that it's bad. There's just a
Mm-hmm.
reason. And I think those are just so powerful. And then the other one is huge. I ask similar question, and I don't know if you find this when you ask this to your clients, but it stops them of like, wait, no one's ever asked me that. There wasn't,
Yeah,
life is busy and it's loud, and I don't know, life just starts happening to us. Even if we're doing things, sometimes life starts happening, or like the cues, like be mindful of what you're eating or understand the hunger scale. It's easy to tune out if you're still hungry or not, or when you get hungry. And even myself, I've had to be like, ooh, we're not I'm not utilizing or understanding my hunger. So like I employ that because life gets busy, and
it
it
does.
is
Yep.
one of those that these seem basic, but these are skills to implement to set you up for success. But the best thing that I love is that curiosity. And if you had no fear, because I just think it puts more power and more autonomy to the individual to take hold of their health and really find that central, I'm going to say like control, that central, like deep internal as to what they really, really want. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love everything you just said, and I'll add, like, I think we want to be in control,
mhm.
right, of what we eat and our health even so badly. And I do encourage women to stop using that word. Like, you cannot control your health.
Right.
Like, what you can do is have agency,
Yes.
right? You can influence your health, right? But that idea of like, I have to control what I eat or I have to get control of my weight, that's only going to make this so much harder for you and unsustainable. And it's just not, like, so much goes into that. It's
Mhm.
not in your control. That is so outcome based, and the outcome isn't in our control. So thinking about where can I have agency,
Yeah.
is typically how I like to phrase it.
Yeah. I love that. Like agency is important, and it is, I would say, bodies change. That's it. That's a statement.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
bodies change. That's a complete sentence. Like
I love that. I'm
it
gonna
just,
steal that.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, and then, I know when I say that, the clients are like, and I'm like, no, that's a 2 word statement. That's it. Bodies change.
Yeah, we can, right, build habits that feel good for us, that we feel are healthy, that make us feel healthy. But how that's going to change our weight and our body size, again, like, we just don't know. And I think having those weight loss goals that we're so hung up on, it really only interferes with our ability to actually heal our relationship with food and fitness. Like, I honestly have yet to work with a woman yet who has been able to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Someone out there will prove me wrong, but I've yet to see it.
Yeah. I would encourage anyone listening, reach out to Jess. I'm going to say, if you have questions, her information will be in the show notes, because there are other ways to find your true health for you and for your lifestyle
Hmm.
versus white knuckling, restriction, brutalizing your body. Because,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think that's a great message maybe to leave your listeners with as we wrap up. Like, the food noise, the shame around
Mhm.
fitness, right, and all of those shoulds that you're experiencing, like, yeah, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yes, 100%, 100%. This was awesome. I'm sure we'll have you back. And, anyone listening to, you can send questions to the podcast or get Jess's information, and we will, the conversation doesn't end. So yeah. And if if anyone could benefit from this episode, please, share it with them. Thank you for tuning in to Miles from Review, powered by KatFit Strength. If this podcast inspires you, don't keep it for yourself. Hit follow or subscribe to stay updated on the new episodes and leave us a review to help more women and moms discover this space. Your feedback fuels this podcast, and I'd love to hear what's working for you or what topics you want to dive into next. You can connect with me on Instagram at KatFit Strength or share this episode with a friend who is ready to embrace her strength. Remember, fitness isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself and finding strength in every step of your journey. Until next time, keep moving forward 1 mile at a time.